The boxing world is buzzing with anticipation as Terence Crawford prepares to leap 2 weight classes to challenge Canelo Alvarez in a super fight scheduled for September 13th, a clash that promises to be one of the most significant in recent boxing history. Crawford, a welterweight who struggled to push back Israil Madrimov in his last outing, now faces the daunting task of taking on Canelo, a natural light heavyweight who has dominated the super middleweight division at 168 pounds. The matchup has sparked intense debate, with opinions shifting rapidly, none more surprising than Oscar De La Hoya's recent reversal. Initially, De La Hoya was vocal in his support for Crawford, insisting that the Nebraska native's adaptability, strength, and ring IQ would see him triumph over Canelo, even at a higher weight. He described Crawford not as a small fighter moving up, but as a naturally big athlete capable of competing at 168 pounds, dismissing the notion that size alone would dictate the outcome. Yet, in a stunning about-face, De La Hoya now calls the fight a mismatch in Canelo's favor, suggesting it's almost a no contest. This shift has drawn sharp criticism from Crawford, who calmly but pointedly called out De La Hoya's inconsistency, noting how the promoter's stance seems to change with the wind. Crawford's response was measured but firm, emphasizing that the fight carries historic implications. A victory over Canelo would make him the first male boxer to become undisputed champion in 3 weight classes, a feat not even legends like Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones Jr., or Floyd Mayweather have achieved. Crawford, already a 2-time undisputed champion, is no stranger to making history, and he's made it clear that this fight is about cementing his legacy in a way few fighters ever have. The stakes are monumental, not just for the belts but for the narrative of his career, which has often been overshadowed by industry politics and a lack of marquee matchups in their prime. Eddie Hearn, a prominent figure in boxing promotion, has acknowledged Crawford's greatness but pointed out a lingering criticism. His resume lacks the elite, prime-time opponents that define Canelo's career. Crawford's best wins, against Ricky Burns, Kell Brook, Amir Khan, and Errol Spence Jr., come with caveats. Burns was a solid but not spectacular name, while Brook and Khan were seen by many as past their prime when they faced Crawford. Spence, too, carried question marks after a car accident and a long layoff before their fight. In contrast, Canelo's resume reads like a who's who of modern boxing: Floyd Mayweather, Gennady Golovkin, Sergey Kovalev, Miguel Cotto, and Caleb Plant, among others. While some of these wins, like those over Golovkin and Kovalev, have their own context, age, timing, or controversy, Canelo has consistently taken on top-tier competition across weight classes. The skepticism surrounding Crawford's ability to compete at 168 pounds is rooted in the physical realities of the matchup. Canelo isn't just bigger. He's a seasoned veteran of high-stakes fights, with a granite chin and devastating power that has carried him through battles against elite opposition. De La Hoya's pivot to favoring Canelo reflects this, as does Hearn's cautious lean toward the Mexican superstar. Yet, not everyone sees it as a foregone conclusion. Crawford's technical brilliance, his footwork, ring generalship, ability to switch stances, and uncanny timing, makes him a unique challenge. His performance against Spence, where he dismantled a world-class fighter with surgical precision, showed a level of patience, accuracy, and composure that few can match. For some, this skill set could neutralize Canelo's size advantage. Crawford doesn't get hit often, and he rarely wastes energy, which could allow him to weather Canelo's power and turn the fight into a chess match where his intelligence and adaptability shine. The stylistic clash is what makes this fight so intriguing. Canelo is a master of pressure, cutting off the ring and unloading powerful combinations, but Crawford's elusiveness and counterpunching could frustrate him. If Crawford can avoid taking clean shots early, he might exploit Canelo's tendency to slow down in later rounds, as seen in recent fights. Carl Froch, a former super middleweight champion, has been vocal in his belief that Crawford's adaptability and often overlooked size give him a real chance. Froch argues that Crawford, who has a 74-inch reach compared to Floyd Mayweather's 73 inches, is bigger than people realize and could grow into the 168-pound division comfortably. He sees Crawford's skill set and mindset as potential equalizers, even against a fighter as accomplished as Canelo. Froch also points to a perceived decline in Canelo's sharpness, particularly after his lackluster performance against William Skull, where he seemed more focused on preservation than domination. For Froch, Canelo's motivation may be waning after over 60 fights and a career that's already secured his legacy and fortune. Teddy Atlas, the veteran trainer and commentator, shares a similar view, emphasizing Crawford's intangible qualities. While acknowledging Canelo's impressive resume, Atlas believes Crawford possesses a rare kind of greatness, rooted in his desire and mental makeup. He admits to wavering between the two fighters but ultimately leans toward Crawford's ability to figure it out in the ring, as he has done throughout his career. Atlas raises the possibility that Canelo, despite his accomplishments, might be slightly overrated at this stage, with wear and tear from years of fighting taking a toll. Sergio Mora, another former fighter turned analyst, offers a nuanced perspective, questioning the traditional boxing adage that a great big man always beats a great small man. Mora notes that Canelo, at 35, has been fighting professionally since he was 15, accumulating significant mileage. Crawford, though older at 37, has fewer fights and less physical wear, which could make him fresher despite the weight jump. Mora also highlights Crawford's smart approach to bulking up, noting that he's added mass strategically, looking bigger in height and shoulder width than Canelo in some respects. Andre Ward, one of the most respected voices in boxing, is unequivocal in his support for Crawford. He argues that until someone proves they can break Crawford's will or outsmart him, he's not betting against him. Ward acknowledges the risks of moving up 3 weight classes but believes Crawford's mental and tactical edge could be decisive. He sees Canelo as a student of the game who has fought everyone, but Crawford's unique combination of skill, reach, and determination makes him a puzzle even Canelo might struggle to solve. The debate over who wins this fight often hinges on intangibles as much as physical attributes. Canelo's size, experience, and power are undeniable, but Crawford's elusiveness, IQ, and finishing instincts, evidenced by his high knockout rate for a technician, make him a live underdog. Beyond the fighters themselves, external factors add layers to the event. The fight is part of a mega card orchestrated by Saudi advisor Turki Alshik, who has become a kingmaker in boxing, uniting promotional rivals to create blockbuster events. Alshik's influence is evident in the fight structure, with no rematch clause demanded by Crawford, suggesting he views this as a legacy-defining moment, possibly his last. The inclusion of knockout bonuses, a concept borrowed from MMA, could push both fighters to be more aggressive, potentially altering the dynamic of what might otherwise be a tactical chess match. For Crawford, the incentive aligns with his natural finishing ability, while for Canelo, it could fuel an early onslaught to test Crawford's durability at 168 pounds. The financial and promotional stakes are high, with the event expected to draw massive attention, though some worry it may not match the viewership of less traditional boxing spectacles like Jake Paul's fight with Mike Tyson. Still, the legitimacy of a Canelo-Crawford clash is seen as a much-needed shot in the arm for a sport often criticized for diluting its product with novelty matchups. The narrative surrounding Crawford's career adds emotional weight to the fight. Despite his undisputed titles in 2 weight classes, he's often been overlooked due to a lack of high-profile opponents in their prime. A win over Canelo would silence doubters and elevate him to a level few fighters reach, potentially capping a career that's been both brilliant and underappreciated. Canelo, meanwhile, has little to prove but much to lose. A defeat could tarnish his legacy, though his willingness to take on such a dangerous opponent speaks to his competitive spirit. For Crawford, the fight is about more than belts, it's about etching his name in history. As he put it, everything is on Terence Crawford's side, all the legacy. Canelo, defending his titles, is fighting for pride and the chance to reaffirm his dominance. As the September 13th date approaches, the boxing world remains divided. Some see Canelo's size and experience as too much for Crawford to overcome, while others believe Crawford's technical mastery and mental fortitude make him the favorite. Mora predicts a decision for Canelo, with Crawford leaving him bruised but not victorious. Frock, Atlas, and Ward lean toward Crawford, citing his adaptability and hunger. De La Hoya's flip-flopping has only fueled the debate, with his initial confidence in Crawford giving way to a belief that Canelo's physical advantages will prevail. Crawford himself remains unfazed, dismissing the notion that he'll be run out of the ring and promising to run upside Canelo's head. The fight's outcome will hinge on whether Crawford can withstand Canelo's power early and impose his skill late, or if Canelo's pressure and experience will overwhelm the smaller man. Regardless of the result chalk. Result, this fight promises to be a defining moment in boxing history, with Crawford chasing an unprecedented legacy and Canelo defending his status as one of the sport's biggest stars. The clash of styles, the weight disparity, and the stakes for both fighters make this a spectacle that transcends the sport's usual boundaries. Whether Crawford can defy the odds or Canelo proves too big a mountain to climb, the boxing world will be watching with bated breath.